What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to Omar BYT, ladies and gentlemen. And we are back again, guys, for another episode of the Blaugrana Talk, guys. And listen, man, this is Blaugrana Talk, so I had to have one of my, fellow Barcelona fan channels here. Big up to my guy, Barcelona boy Hafed. What's going on, bro?
What's good? What's good? I'm doing well. How about you?
Hey man, listen, man, I'm doing well, man. Listen, before we, I'm not gonna lie. When we spoke, when I actually sent you the message for us to do this, I'm not gonna lie, man. It wasn't looking good for us. We just gone on a 3 game winless streak. It was good and stressed out. But listen, we kind of started well. Midweek was an amazing midweek. Got to see us get back to winning ways, and then had to watch the apps Real Madrid lose at home. After all the talk that I've been hearing from those Madrid fans, bro, I've been getting so much heat from these Madrid fans, man. But listen, they can hold that. But listen, we're gonna get into all of that. But before we do, I do want to first of all get into us first, right? Because listen, um, last time you and I were here, we were enjoying life. You know what I mean, right? We were enjoying life,
Flying
you
high.
know, riding high, man. Like, listen, football was beautiful. We were scoring goals. We were looking like the old Barcelona, right? And since then, I would say before the international break, obviously, we lost to Sociedad, right? And then we came back from the international break. We messed up. We bottled a 2 goal lead against Celta de Vigo. Then we lost at home to Las Palmas, and it was looking stressful, right? And before I do talk about the Mallorca game, but I just want to ask you, right? Those 3 games, watching those 3 games, what were your honest analysis just watching those 3 games, honestly, bro?
I think Las Palmas and Sociedad came down to us being burnt out. We played a lot of high intensity games, so many games in certain periods of time. Flick picking the same lineup pretty much because our squad depth has been injured. Arujo, Christensen, Ansu Fati, Gavi's just coming back almost in and out of the team. Ferran Torres was out during that time. So I think the Sociedad game was a bit of a burnout. If the legal Lewandowski goal counted, I think maybe their perspective could have been a bit different.
Mhm.
Celta Vigo, I think that's our own doing. We're up 2-0. The red card absolutely killed us yet again. I don't know. I'm very worried about this team with 10 men. I see other teams that cope pretty well with 10 men. They, park the bus, they lock it down, they look at least semi comfortable. Every time we go down to 10 men, we look like we have about six. It's crazy the drop off. And then Las Palmas was, I just think we just weren't good on that day. That was like, I think that was kind of like a down day, which kind of happens. I think the other two came to a lot of circumstances. We were up 2-0, 2-2. Lewandowski goal, if it counted, things would have been different. But Las Palmas, we were just burnt out. I feel like the team maybe didn't have that extra hunger, needed a little bit of a wake up call. I also think that midfield three was very, very, very unbalanced with Pedri and Gabby in the pivot with Firmino in the 10. So I guess it's a bit of a learning experience. We now know that Pedri and Gabby and double pivot doesn't really work. We kind of know what Firmino's style is. His style is better going up against teams that play more open than teams that play more of a low to mid block. So bit of learning curves. It sucks that it was kind of all three in a row because that kind of gave the other lot, momentum and confidence. Oh, you guys are talking the big game, and now we're only 1 point behind you. So still a long way to go, but
Mhm.
I'm just happy the team is able to bounce back. I think the game tomorrow will really give us good indications. I've always been against the team's mentality. I've never since Anfield, I never backed this team mentally. But after we won Bayern and Madrid back to back, we won 2 back-to-back big games for the first time in God knows how long. I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's a little bit of a shift here. And I think the real pressure was after Las Palmas. You just dropped points 3 games in a row. We need to bounce back. They gave it to us very strongly, and now it's about repeating that again in another difficult game tomorrow.
You know what? I don't necessarily disagree with all your points, right? And I do see the same thing that you see as well, right? But here's the thing. I think for me, there's a deeper reason for me where I feel like what I've noticed, because yes, I feel like those 3 games were where we are kind of highlighted kind of Barcelona's weaknesses so far. But I've been keeping my eye on this so far since the start of the season, and I've been saying it even here on my channel, where I said I feel like because we have such a young, inexperienced team, we have a very naive squad. You understand what I'm saying, right? And
Yeah.
the reason I say that is because you see that every time we are leading, you see the confidence in the way the team plays. You see the confidence that the players play with. You understand what I'm saying, right? It's looking beautiful, right? We look like we could score 2, 3, 4, 5. We could literally just go on a madness. Mallorca game was literally the perfect embodiment of that, right? We took the lead early. We looked like we were going to score 3 goals before the end of that first half. And then boom, just like that, they equalized. And then all of a sudden, that energy just went down. You understand what I'm saying, right? The energy went down. You were looking at the team and you were like, yo, what is going on? What is happening? You understand what I'm saying, right? Where's that energy, right? They looked like they could score. We had chances as well, but it was basically back and forth until that Rafinha penalty. And then when we scored that goal, we just went back to the confidence again. And I've been seeing this quite a lot throughout the season. And I was like, listen, because if you remember, you said it. The game against Monaco in the Champions League, Eric Garcia gets sent off. You just see the whole system just break down. You understand what I'm saying, right? Against Sociedad, I know people are going to talk about the fact that, oh yeah, we had a goal that was wrongly disallowed, all of that. Listen, I hear all of that.
That entire lineup was so unbalanced.
No, it was unbalanced, but I'm sorry also, here's the thing. My biggest issue was how we responded to going a goal down. You understand what I'm saying, right? If we went out fighting till the end, if we went out there trying to score, trying to open chances and get opportunities, and we were just downright unlucky to now win the game, I would then look at it and say, you know what? That moment that we were screwed, that's the reason why we didn't win. We lost, right? Because we were the better team by far. But unfortunately, I can't get out of that game saying, I could sit there and talk about, yes, we were screwed. We should have had the goal given, and that could have completely changed the game. But then again, I want to see how this team reacts to going behind. Because for me, my biggest issue was since the start of the season. This is why when people ask me, oh, you guys are so good in Europe, how do you think you're going to do in Europe? I'm like, unfortunately, I don't see us winning the Champions League. And the reason I don't is because to win the Champions League, you have to have that mental fortitude. You understand what I'm saying, right? You have to have that kind of like mental drive, because the thing with the Champions League, we've seen it with teams that have won the Champions League, even us, right? We don't always have it our way every game. And it's that mental fortitude that we have when we have those games where we're not having it our way and still get out of there with a win is what separates the teams that can win it from the teams that don't win it. That's why I feel like this team, unfortunately, as good as we are going attacking, we don't have that fortitude, and we will be tested in the Champions League. And when we get tested, I don't think this team is ready for that kind of test this season.
See, this is the thing for me, is that I fully agree with you at that point. But like I just mentioned, I think the team.
Keep going.
I think the team winning Bayern and Madrid back to back in the space of 72 hours for me proves that they have the mental strength. And I hate this excuse. I'm not saying it's an excuse. It is still a point, but like of us having a young team. We've had a young team for so long now, and half the team that we have now that's young have been now part of the team for about 4 or 5 years now. So they have to have that mental capacity. At this point, the saying at Barcelona is that if you're good enough, you're old enough. Yeah. So I guess I agree with you. I don't think we're gonna win the Champions League unless we have not only a miraculous run, but also a lucky run as well. Because not only do you have to be good, you have to have luck on your side as well. So the Sociedad game for me, where you make a good point about there's no fight. The issue is that at the time it's like it's a young team, and if you're a young guy and stuff doesn't go your way, what do? You start whining, you start complaining, you get lethargic. That's how I felt the team was in that game,
right?
And there was nothing was working apart from that one chance that we had for the Lewandowski goal, which by the way came from like a great run from Frankie. The shot was like blocked. Apart from that, we barely touched the final third of Sociedad that game. I cannot think of one other.
Bro, we had 0 shots on. That's my thing. That is what really pissed me off out of that game. Like, don't get it twisted. The goal that we were wrongly disallowed pissed me off. But I want to see my team at least show fight. You understand what I'm saying? Show me that, listen, at the end of the year, yes, fans will always point the fingers at the opportunities and the moments in the game. That is what us as fans, right? But we can also be very logical and look at it in a standpoint of, well, what else did we do apart from that moment? You understand what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. Because that was the only moment we looked like scoring throughout the game. And that was what, for me, worried me the most. The fact that I didn't see enough. The fact that I wanted to see more from the team. You understand what I'm saying, right? And you just mentioned it. And listen, at the end of the day, it's fine. But my biggest issue, and this is the biggest criticism I'll give to Hansi Flick's his style of football is, feel like we're becoming predictable. You understand what I'm saying, right?
It's
Because you
high
already
risk, high
know,
reward, right? That's his point. He wants to,
right?
he wants to be so predictable that it's going to be hard to stop. And people say that, oh, Barca's being found out. I disagree. I feel like any team can be found out, but you still have to be perfect in execution. For example, Mourinho's team from 2004 to 2007 with Chelsea was predictable. They sat back, they controlled the midfield, and they were clinical, easy to
Mhm.
stop. Pep's tiki taka team, easy to stop. Close the channels, keep the high press, and you can definitely beat the final pass. What's the historic team? Ancelotti's first Madrid team.
Yeah.
They were just really strong on the counter attack. The thing is, every good team has its holes, but it's down to the opposition to exploit those holes, and that is what's difficult with the flick system. It is the game plan. I said this in a stream I think a week ago or so. It's very simple if you look at it tactically to beat the flick system, but it's
Mm.
hard to execute. That is the challenging thing, especially for top teams. Against lower teams like Las Palmas, example, is very simple. Park the bus, counterattack against every single big team. That's the only way to beat them. That's what they did. They were clinical. They had 2 shots, 2 goals. They had their day. But against, a Bayern, a Madrid, an Arsenal, Atletico's a bit different because they play shithousery football.
Right.
Villarreal. These teams will have to exploit us and hope things go their way to beat us. And that's why the flick system is always hard to beat. So when you look at it from that kind of perspective, it's yes, we're predictable, but it's still hard to exploit us. You need so many things to go your way. Just like we kind of need things to go our way, for example, to win the Champions League. The system fits us because we train it week in, week out. The style is engraved now, so we know the holes, we know how to patch it, we know how to go attacking and defensively. But for teams that, play the one style against Barcelona twice a season, if it's in the league or maybe twice in Europe, it's going to be difficult to compete with that week in, week out. It's easier to execute than it is to exploit. That is the thing. So
Mhm.
it's predictable, yes, but if the system is executed to close to perfection, at least at 90%, it's gonna be hard to bleed. And that's why Flick always demands 100% training on the pitch, 100%. That's why he was upset after the Las Palmas game because it looked like we kind of gave up in that
Yeah,
last
we
20
gave up.
minutes.
Yeah.
All
Mhm.
these things are accumulation because he knows his holes in his team. Same with Pep, he knows the holes in his philosophy. Same with Jurgen Klopp, I forgot to mention him.
Mhm.
He knows the holes in his system. Every coach knows that, but a good coach knows the holes and knows how to prevent the opposition from exploiting those holes.
No, and that is absolutely accurate. I have nothing against that point that you just mentioned, but it's the thing is, I completely get it. And listen, at the end of the day, it's working out, right? At the end of the day, the old saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You understand what I'm saying, right? I get that whole idea, but sometimes I kind of look at the games and I'm like, okay, when we play the high line, it works because teams don't. The high line works out all the time. Teams have been getting cut off side constantly in games. You understand what I'm saying, right? But I always say this, right? It only takes one moment for me. You understand what I'm saying? Where you're gonna play against a certain team where they were like, all right, we know how they're gonna play. We know that they're gonna keep the high line. Let's take a look at the line. Let's see where the line starts. You understand what I'm saying? Let's see where the defenders are gonna be, and then just make sure that our players are not making sure that they don't pass that line because we know that this is the line this is where the line is going to be. You understand what I'm saying, right? And here's the thing, I think that it will work out on certain positions, but I just don't know, man. You understand what I'm saying? Look, that's fine. I'm not sitting here and complaining because yes, as fans we are going to be critical, especially when results are not coming our way. You understand what I'm saying? Right? We will be critical, right? We will say, listen, we are too expansive, we're too pragmatic the way we go forward and all of these stuff, right? When it doesn't work out. When it works out, it looks beautiful. And listen, at the end of the day, I've said it myself. I will have no problem if we go on to win everything this season with this high line, this high risky high. Listen, I will be celebrating. I don't care. I'll be like, listen, man, high line
Mhm.
for life. High line for life, man. I'm here for it. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying, right? But
Mhm.
it is very, very risky against certain teams. And that's why for me, I'm just under this impression of this season, I don't think we can achieve what we want to achieve, the things we want to achieve. But I think that next season, if we do back the manager and maybe bring in some other new players, You understand what I'm saying, right? Under his players, basically, the players that he wants, maybe we could see a completely much more improved and much more safer style of play.
Like you said about the high line, it's very risky. You don't know what's going to happen with it. I was so doubtful of the high line going into the Bayern Munich game because the one time we tried the high line over the past year was under Xavi, Super Cup final in January,
Oh
where
my
Madrid cooked us.
days.
What was it, 3-1 in the first
Three,
half?
4-1. 4-1.
4-1 the game. I think the 3-1 and when Vinicius scored the first half hat trick.
Oh
That
yeah,
was the
that's
one time.
true.
That was the first time we tried it that I've seen it in quite some time now. So going into that Bayern Munich game, I felt exactly how you just mentioned. Like, oh my god, it's suicide. They have great players on the break, but we win 4-1. We go to that Madrid game. Oh, they have Vinicius, Mbappe, so much. They have the
Bro,
two fastest top players in the world on the
I
break.
listen. I'll be the first to admit, I I was looking at it this way. I didn't think we were gonna lose. I wasn't coming down there saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna lose definitely." I was like under this impression of both teams are gonna score, and it just comes down to whose attack is on that
Completely
day.
agree. That's exactly how I felt. Exactly how I
Okay.
felt. So when you look at this, it's like okay, they had Madrid have the quickest, best players in their attack in world football. There's probably quicker players, but there's not quicker players that are better than Vinicius and Mbappe. You look at how we held that line so well, and it's all about what Flick mentions in every single press conference. You attack as a team, and you defend as a team. The only time we've conceded goals this season from the high line was because the hot line wasn't held well. Either Kunde's out of place. I remember Kunde was out of place for one game. Inigo was out of place against
The
Mallorca when
game
we
against Las
conceded.
Palmas is the game against Las Palmas, man. He
No,
was
Las
out
Palmas
of
was a
position.
bit different because
No. Actually, it wasn't the Las Palmas game. I'm tripping. I think it was the Celta de Vigo game. Him and Gerard Martin. That's why they scored like 2 goals very quickly.
no,
Remember
that
this?
was I think that was Osasuna, the 4-2 Osasuna. I remember
Yeah,
the
but I
Anyways,
think
anyways,
yeah. Just keep
the
going.
point being is that the only way they beat the high line is when we don't hold it properly. If someone's out of place, plays moving quickly. Like a perfect example is Inigo against Mallorca. He was already pushing out to defend attacker. He forgot to step up. They get in behind. They score. Apart from that, every single goal we conceded this season has not been based on the high lines. It's been a team working it through, a mistake by Gerard Martin, Akipenya, whoever it may be. So the high line has been very effective this season. And yes, the team knows how the side we're going to play, but like I just mentioned, it's difficult to exploit it. It's not like, for example, Arsenal's corner kicks. So this season, Arsenal have been ridiculous on corner kicks, right? They're scoring corners.
The set
I think
pieces.
now teams will start to clock it. I don't think they'll score that much from now on, but for them, corner kicks is easy because most of the teams that are facing Arsenal are zonal marking. So you have a defender that's marking one key area and will not move no matter what. And that's why Arsenal exploit it. So it's easy to nullify that, get your players to move, man mark players, you can clear corners easily. But with the high line, it's different because it's systematic. It relies on everyone and it relies on everyone being a unit, not on a corner where things can go off your butt and score a goal like they did against United and all this stuff like that. That's why it's difficult to exploit. And what you said was you feel like next season will be better with Flick bringing in his players. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think this season will be the best because next season teams will study it and will learn how to exploit it.
Yes, I do
That's
agree
how
with
old.
that.
That's how old big teams are. Even with Klopp, after they won the Premier League, he got found out a little bit. Pep actually got found out his first year at Man City, then changed, adapted, and he dominated. Pep got found out a little bit from the Madrid team. That's why they won the league after our three-peat. He adapted, but then he left. All these big managers go through that same thing. And I think Flick is very happy with the players that he has. I don't think he's going to make too many additions as we go each summer. It's going to be more so the club signing players than Flick. He'll make his recommendations, but I feel like Flick was really anxious and he won this job because he believed that the players that we already have were perfect to fit his system. Because when he goes into that meeting with Deco in London in May, he's like, this team is damn near perfect for the way I want to play. I think that's why they gave him the job. And that's why he was so convincing. And of course, in the end, now
Yeah, because
he's proving it.
he was very into like he actually came out, to be fair. He was the one that I think his agent was the one that probably came out and said that he was open to the job, right? He wanted to take the job. That's why I feel like the process took it was like a quick process. It was like we just went to London, speak to him before, like a few days later, it was already announced that he was going to be the manager this season. But speaking of player recruitments, right? Listen, I'm actually going to be doing a video on my channel in probably on tomorrow or on Sunday where I'm going to be talking about players that potentially Barca could sign. I was thinking about 2 players, right? Because yeah, you are right. When I look at this Barca team, I don't think that we need like a complete makeover, because I do agree this Barca team especially like if you look at like the youngsters that are currently coming out of this Barca team right now, right? Right? The players that are coming out, even players that are currently injured, like you think about players like Barca now, like the way he was supposed to be, this was supposed to be his breakout season, right? We could definitely see what Hansi Flick could do with him next season. You understand what I'm saying, right?
He was starting
Casado,
before Casado, you know.
you see what I'm saying? He does. Why I
Hmm.
said this was supposed to be his season before the ACL. I think this would have been his season, right? But I think next season will be his season. Valid that he comes back, 100%. I mean, we're not gonna put pressure on him because he's gonna be out for a long time. But
Of course, no.
Casado, he's broken out this season. You've seen players like Pablo Torre this season. Look at he's taking his chances, right? We signed him since last season. Paul Victor scored against Mallorca, right? He's giving a shout to why he should be given more game time. You understand what I'm saying, right? I look at the Barca team and I think because of all these players that are currently coming out of the Barca squad right now, right? The youngsters that are coming into the squad, I just think that we need to sign players to basically just improve on what we have. I.e., I'm
I
looking at
agree.
positions like the Danny Olmo position. Now, Danny Olmo is an extremely good player. He's been our only signing this season, top signing, only one, and he's proven to be worth every money when he's fit, when he's playing. You understand what I'm saying, right? But I've said this when we signed this guy, which is Danny Olmo's track record, if you look at it, is that when he's on the pitch, incredible. When he's on the pitch, the guy is very injury prone. And I
Hmm.
said this, and I
Look at it
told
this
you,
season. He's been injured like what, 3 times now
and
already?
apparently now Barcelona are worried that he can't even play 3 games in a row. This is
Yeah,
why
yeah, I've
he's
seen
getting
that.
benched. And I'm like, for me, I feel like on the Hansi Flick's what Hansi Flick wants to play, Danny Olmo is integral to what style he wants to play because he wants to have that kind of midfield, that attacking style of midfielder. What Muller was in the team, what players like, basically that's what he wants to play. He wants to play that attacking 10, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
the one player that I'm thinking about from this in La Liga, I know you already know. You've probably watched him a few times. One of the players I've been thinking of is Alex Baena from Villarreal.
Hmm.
He's a very good player. He plays out on the left for Villarreal, but he's a natural attacking midfielder. I watched this guy this season. I watched him during the Olympic Games, right? Him and Furman, they were literally like balling out throughout that tournament. You understand what I'm saying, right? Right? And for me, watching him, I was like, he's one of those players who doesn't, because he's playing for Villarreal. I feel like people don't really see what he does. You understand what I'm saying? But if you're someone who watches La Liga constantly and you watch him, he's incredibly good. You understand what I'm saying, right? And he has so much potential to be so much better. And I feel like at Barcelona, especially under Hansi Flick, because we've seen how Hansi Flick has improved our squad this season. I think that a player like Baena, if we have a player like Baena and Danny Olmo like playing in that midfield role, and also Bayern is not going to come at Barcelona expecting, okay, I'm the star. I'm going to be starting every game, this and this and this. He understands, okay, if I'm coming here, I'm going to have to fight for my place because I'm playing in midfield. Barcelona have a lot of midfielders, but that's what you have to do when you join a club like Barcelona. You understand what I'm saying? You're coming all due respect, you're coming from Villarreal to Barcelona. That's a step up. This is where the big boys come to play. And for me, I feel like if Danny Olmo, because of his injury track record, I feel like Bayana could be someone who would be integral. And also, it would be great competition for Danny Olmo. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because if.
Yeah, but
Mhm,
the issue that I have is that we have, in my opinion, 2 holes left. I think Alex Baena is a luxury signing. He's a player like what City did. They won the English treble. We need
mhm,
that extra level up. Erling Holland, bish bash bosh. That's what Alex Baena would be for Barcelona. For me, there's still 2 key holes in this team that need to be addressed. And also, like you mentioned, in that 10, you have Danny Olmo, like you mentioned. You have
mhm,
Fermin Lopez, who can play there. Yes, against low block, he struggles a lot. Hopefully, he adapts. But against those open teams like a Villarreal, Sociedad, Betis, Atletico, Madrid, Champions League, he's
mhm,
fantastic. Paulo Torre, like you already mentioned, fantastic player. I think he's a very, very needed player. I think he's a fantastic squad player. He can play there. You have Gavi as well, who now, since the double pivot is going to be Casado, Pedri, will be Bernal when he comes back. Frankie de Jong, it's going to be hard for him to get in there. So in the 10 off the left is where you're going to see Gavi a lot. You also have Rafinha who can play there. So if we sign another player that I'll mention in a few seconds, he can also play that area. So what you're mentioning in Alex Bunny, I think Alex Bunny is a fantastic player. I think for 40
mhm,
million, he's an absolute bargain. I think he's the quality of Barcelona. but
Yeah.
just not quite what we need right now. For me personally, the two holes in this team, which thankfully are the two main targets for this summer, is left wing and fullbacks. On the left wing,
Yes.
we
Okay.
have nobody. Rafinha, of course, is doing unbelievable Ballon d'Or
Balance.
campaign season
Facts.
for him,
Facts. Mhm.
but he's not a natural option out wide, and especially when you have players like Lamine Yamal getting potentially injured, or maybe Rafinha himself getting injured. You need that extra X factor. I don't want to rely on Ferran Torres. I don't want to rely on. Well, I can't even rely on Ansu Fati because he's not even fucking fit anymore. Because I think Ansu Fati would have been brilliant for that role, but he cannot stay fit to save his life. Every time there's an opportunity for him on the table, he gets injured in training specifically. So if you get a left winger, let's say for example, for argument's sake, Nico Williams. I don't want him, but let's just say for argument's sake, just for purpose, you get Nico Williams in, who will give that competition not only Rafinha but also Lamine Yamal, because those two in the flick system is very dynamic. It's very free flowing. You can see in the games Lamine Yamal will be on the left. Even the Marco game, he was on the left for like a solid 20 minutes. Rafinha was on the
Yeah, he
right
was.
because once the press is initiated, it's free flowing. Everyone can move into different areas, and then once you're in that area, you stay there in defensive transition. So you have Nico Williams to compete with Rafinha and Lamine Yamal, because again, they both can play week in week out as we see in the season. That's fantastic rotation right there. Do you know why? Because every one of those three players can play in those three areas. For me, the best one, like Saeed here mentioned in the chat, is Rafael Leao. For me, that's the
Rafael
golden boy.
Leao, I feel like for me, listen, let me be clear, right? My honest opinion on these places, I'm not saying that Nico is a bad player. He's a great player, right? And I think that under a certain system, he will work out. You understand what I'm saying, right? The same thing applies for Leao and Kvaratskhelia. But for me, right, I don't rate these guys very highly, but I think that under a Hansi Flick, like you just mentioned, Hansi Flick style of football, I think that more realistically, especially this season, with the way the Nico Williams thing has happened. And I feel like Leao is at a point now where I feel like he wants to now leave AC Milan. He wants to go and take that big move, right? I'll be happy if either player does join us. And then you do have a good point, right? We are playing Rafinha out of position, even though he's doing incredible, right? You just mentioned Ballon d'Or level right now, right? Same thing with Yamal and all these players. And yes, you're right. For me, I feel like those two being out of the team is very detrimental to our squad. Do you understand what
No,
I'm
we're
saying, right?
cooked. We're cooked. Look at us in the 3
Exactly.
games where we
Bro,
dropped points. None of them were the one that was missing.
that is the point, right?
I
And
think we have had a natural winger in any of those games, we would look so much different. Because I think against Sociedad we played Fermin on the wing, did not work.
bro,
Celta
that
Vigo
was
we played Gavi. It was okay. We were up 2-0. It was all right. And then in the Las Palmas we played Pablo Torre there. So we
yeah.
tried 3 different players. Gavi probably worked the best, but the issue is we started Gavi already against Celta, so he couldn't play again. And this time he was playing in the pivot with Pedri because Casando was suspended, so maybe things didn't really work out in that game. But that position for me is so important. The issue with Nico Williams is that I think he would have been a perfect signing last summer. Nico Williams last summer for me was one of the, I would say, top 5 players I wanted the most as a Barca fan.
Bro,
I'm thinking back to
me
like
too, man.
the lit 2019, Verratti 2017, Zubamendi 2022. These are the players that I was thirsting on my knees that I thought were so perfect. He wanted to stay, fair, but then he's having a stinker of a season. And now when you have another high-quality player like Leao available who has no bias towards Barcelona, it's a bit of a different perspective, especially with Jorge Mendes being the agent. You can get some favorable deals elsewhere as well. With Nico, I understand he's Spanish. He's friends with half the squad. I think the adaptation for him would be next to nothing perfect. But like Deco Laporte told him in the summer, the Barca training comes by once. You don't hop on it, off you go.
Thank you. This is how I think about it. For me, I was like, listen, this is why for me it pissed me. This is why it pissed me off for me, bro. I swear to God, it pissed me off how we spent the whole summer following this kid, bro. I was like, yo, this guy clearly wants to stay at Bilbao. He's told his brother he wants to stay. All right, man. We are Barcelona. At the end of the day, we should not be we shouldn't be groveling on our knees.
To be fair, he was so perfect last summer. The price was perfect. The option, the friends, it was all the stars. The stars were aligning.
I agree, but this is the thing, bro. You know, they always said the phrase is, you can take the horse to the stream, you can't force the horse to drink. You understand what I'm saying? We cannot force a player who clearly doesn't have his mind made to join us. You understand what I'm saying, right? And as much as we can sit there and say, yes, it would have been an amazing sign, and I do agree. Bro, this season, I think that if we had Nico, Rafinha, and what's his name in our team, oh my days, bro! Like our attack, bro.
I wonder if we could have signed both. That's what I always wonder, because I felt like the club went for Nico. He was kind of just taking so long to make a decision. Like, you know what, screw you, we're going for Daniel Olmo. You're just taking forever. That's how I feel like this summer
And
went.
that is what pissed me off, because if you think about the Danny Olmo move made sense because Danny Olmo wanted to return to Barca. That's why that deal moved so fast, because he already had his mind made that he wanted to leave Leipzig, and Barcelona wanted him, and he wanted to return back to Spain. He wanted to return back to his hometown club. You understand what I'm saying, right? So that's why that move went so quickly. But you just mentioned it. I was saying this around the end of the transfer window. Leao was actually one I was looking at where I was like, if Barcelona can't go and sign Nico, why are we not trying to inquire about Leao?
Because Leao last summer was going to be 100 million, and there he was like the AC Milan golden boy. But now this season, not only is he now thinking, okay, I need to, the next level up in my career it's now. But also he's falling out of favor a little bit with AC Milan. They're benching him, this and that. Jorge Mendes is making some noise as well. So now is the time where AC Milan, all right, he's going to leave. Let's try and get the best money we can for him. 80 million. Right now, Leao is going to probably cost you around 80, and Nico is going to cost you still 60 because his release clause is still valid. So there is a 20 million euro difference. There's a 3-year age gap as well. Nico is 22 years old. Leao is 25 years old. So that's, of course, a factor in my opinion. But with Leao, you have that player that's almost a year or two away from his prime. With Nico Williams, he'll be a few more years away from his prime. You're going to get seasons from Nico like he is now, being pretty average. When you're paying 60 million for someone, you want someone to come in and have that impact like Rafinha is now. It took him some time, Rafinha, but now he's exploding. With Nico,
feel like, and I feel like
with Nico, is going to take that time, like with Rafinha did that 2 seasons. And we don't really have time for that. The players now are entering their prime. You got to try now to win. So that's why I would go for Leao. If you can get him for like 70 with variables and money like that, that would be perfect. But that's how I see it.
And you know what? I actually agree with that. Because here's the thing, right? I know people have been criticizing Leao this season, and even I've been very critical of him. But it's kind of where you just mentioned, where I was like, I kind of look at it and I'm like, maybe the reason he's not playing well is because he doesn't want to be there anymore. And listen, big up to said on the in the comments, says, how can we even afford Leao? This is how I kind of look at it, honestly, right? I think that if we're gonna sign Leao, I feel like what we can do is we can basically negotiate with Milan, where we can give them money and also a player as well. Like, this is something we don't see anymore. But I kind of look at it and I'm like, a player like Ansu, I feel like his time. I don't know, man. Like, I love him. I want him to. Listen. I love Ansu, bro. This season, I thought, listen, under this new manager, you understand what I'm saying, right? I will answer this question soon. But my point is, the reason why I'm very, very worried, I'm very sad, right? Because we both know, bro, Ansu Fati, when he's fit, is one of the best. It could be one of the best players in the world. His potential was crazy until his injuries, right? And I was thinking, I was like, listen, new season, new opportunity, new manager. If he can stay fit, maybe we could see. I'm not saying we can see the old Ansu, but maybe we could, see an improvement. You understand what I'm saying, right? Maybe
this is exactly how I was feeling in July. I was feeling exactly like you. New season, he's now fully fit. Once he got injured in preseason, when he was out for like, I think, a month, and he missed the whole entire preseason, that's why I gave up. I sold my stock. I said, you know what, he's just not reliable. And then now again, it's another opportunity for him. A few injuries, like, all right, on to the next game, it's all yours.
Yeah, start the game and then you're out. And that's why for me, and that's why I look at him like,
there's still, of course, a long way left in the season. He could maybe just do the most crazy remontada ever, and then in January,
I mean, that would be great.
That would be great. I mean, we save some money, of course, but how it's going right now and how it's looking, it's not looking that's going to be the case. It's too many repetitions, too many. He's consistently inconsistent.
And also let's not forget, this guy is the second highest paid player at the club. He's getting paid, bro. He's getting paid like 280. Bro, I swear on my stream, I pulled out, right, the Barca wages. Lewandowski is top, Ansu is second, and Frankie de Jong is third. And I'll get to Frankie de Jong. Just give me a second. But I want to talk about Ansu first. Ansu, at least with Frankie before the season was actually playing. He was fit. This guy was out on loan last season before. The season before that, he was completely injured for most of the season, right? And this season again, he's played what, five games this season, 6 games, something like that this season. Like, it's not good enough. And I'm at a position now where I'm like, I feel like for his sake, for the sake of his career, I feel like maybe he also needs that move. You understand what I'm saying? Because at Barcelona, we're a big club. right? The history of our club is Barca don't have the patience to be waiting for you to be fit. I'm sorry. We've
We
given you
have the
3 years.
patience if
We
we
have the
see
patience,
something.
but this is the thing. That's my point. Like,
Yeah.
we had the patience for Messi, but Messi's injury record wasn't too long. You understand what I'm saying, right?
No,
Like, what,
no.
maybe
Even with Ansu, if he just showed us something, maybe he was good for a few games and got injured, we still believe in him and stuff like that. Issue is now it's just been too many times. He had
and
the
that's my
Xavi
point.
season. He had the Xavi season where he was in and out of the team due to the front line being on form, and then he would get injured when we kind of needed him a little bit. And that's when we saw Gavi at left wing and Pedri at left wing because he was out injured. Then he went on loan to Brighton. Every time we looked for him just to give us something,
And even at
he gave us
Brighton, he was
something.
injured the whole season.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, right? So for me, I'm just now at a position where I'm like, I feel like he needs a revival of his career somewhere else. You understand what I'm saying, right? And I feel like that's where we need to go and speak. If we're gonna go to Milan, we could offer them some money, not offer them the crazy money they're asking for, but we could go in there, maybe give them, I don't know, 40, 50, 45, 50 million, and Ansu Fati. That's a way better deal. You understand what I'm saying, right?
For us, it is, but nowadays teams just want capital. They want money. That no
They want
team will.
money.
Yeah, no team is going to accept players now. I think that the time to do that was really in COVID when every team was broke, so they'll take anything. But nowadays, it's so rare.
So
So
rare.
rare.
I mean, I just look at it and, like, for me, that would make so much sense because we would
For
get
sure.
Leao and Ansu would go to another club where maybe he
Again,
would be
Jorge
given a
Mendes is the
new-
agent, so maybe they can finesse and try something. Maybe AC
Yeah,
Milan, like, okay, we'll take Ansu on loan and we'll knock off some of the price of Leao or something like that. Sure,
there you
it
go.
would be nice, but I feel like there could probably be two separate deals if they happen. And I think if you're looking at Ansu Fati, like you mentioned, he's on a lot of wages. I don't think he earns 280. I was told he earns around like 150, 180. It's a big contract for sure. But again, those wages transfer to the club, who a club is going to pay that. And then you want to get, of course, for Barcelona, a transfer fee as well. He only has, I think, 2 years left on his deal or maybe 1 year. So the value is deteriorating. I'm just going to check right now. But the value for Ansu Fati is deteriorating more and
it's
more and
hella
more.
deteriorating.
Especially
And
with his
also,
wages. Okay, 2027. So yeah, this summer he'll have 2 years left on his deal. So it'll be prime time to sell him.
All right, so I completely understand that point, right? And listen, at the end of the day, for me, yes, I do believe that Barca should be trying to get a left winger, yes, right? If it's Leao, if it's Nico Williams, I'm all for it. But also, you did mention the fullback positions. I kind of look at the fullback position, and I'm like, if you look at this season, right, you've got 2 players who are currently going to be free agents this summer who are yet to sign contracts, right? Alphonso Davies and what's his name? Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I'm not sitting here saying we're definitely gonna have the opportunity, and we're gonna sign these players, and and all of this. But at the end of the day, it's wages. You understand what I'm saying, right? There's no transfer fees. We don't have to talk to the clubs and any of this stuff, right? I feel like yes, those could be options as well if we're serious about it. But also, there's some position that I feel like Barcelona next season need to improve, need to get a position. For me, I feel like we also need to look at that defensive midfield position because as much as I rate Casado and Bernal, right, I don't want to put that pressure on them. You understand what I'm saying, right? I feel like they have the potential to make that position their own, but I feel like they're not ready for that pressure yet. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't know,
right?
man. I've said this a lot on my channel, but I feel like our midfield is perfect in the sense that you have good players, good options for every single position. We shouldn't be touching that. You want to sell some players, like for example, you mentioned Frankie doesn't want to renew. He can F off, sure. But
And
like
that's
I
my
wouldn't.
point.
Yeah.
But
So if Frankie leaves, then sure, yeah, I'd be open to bringing in maybe a midfielder.
But for me, I look like that. That's why I said for me, I would look at a defensive midfield position. I would go for someone like Zubamendi. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because I feel like Zubamendi under Hansi Flick, right? He will have that, like him and Casado, because just like you mentioned, the squad depth, right? If we do lose De Jong, which I genuinely, honestly, at this point, think that we will, because I feel like
Caring at this point, yeah.
I literally last week on my channel here, bro, went on a whole rant about this De Jong thing. I was like, bro, I've been hearing this for 2 years, man. I'm tired. I feel like, bro, I've aged over 10 years listening to this whole nonsense. You understand what I'm saying?
I hope we keep him, but if he doesn't want to stay,
no, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
It seems his head is not there because apparently we gave him a contract. He had a whole year to respond to it. Either say, yeah, I'm not gonna sign the contract, or I'm not gonna sign the contract. But he said nothing to the club, and then the club now have withdrawn it, and I understand it. I have nothing against. I'm like, listen,
me too, yeah.
the club.
I said that in my video yesterday.
The club have to think about the club. I'm sorry, but we have
They
to.
barely
So,
offered him good money as well. I thought they were going to offer him like a big salary reduction. Apparently, they offered him like around the same money as well, which is crazy. And he still didn't even have the dignity to answer. So,
bro, this is why I said for me, if you move like that, then clearly your mind is not in the team. In your future is not in the club. And if that's the case, then the club have to think about the club. And your contract runs out in 2027. I'm sorry, 2026. You understand what I'm saying, right? The club now have to think of, listen, we don't want to lose this guy on a free. That's why Barcelona apparently thinking about selling this guy for 20 million because we just want something. You
I
understand what I'm
think
saying, right?
that's just off. That's just the media. Because once
Mhm.
you know this more than anyone else, the Barcelona media, the Catalonia media, have a lot of control. They dictate a lot of narratives, and a lot of things they say and a lot of things they want end up coming true. So they're just putting out
Big up,
this
man.
mumbo jumbo
Mhm.
just to make some noise and to sell some papers. I don't think Barcelona will ask for a price that low. I do hope that Frankie de Jong will make his ambitions and futures very clear to Barcelona soon. He
Very
keeps
clear
saying
to
in the media,
Barcelona. That's all I
he keeps
want.
saying in the media everything publicly that he says that I want to stay. I'm a captain. I love it. Blah blah. My kid was born there, and all this mumbo jumbo. But we'll wait and see if any action happens. But a
Bro,
midfielder that I really like that wouldn't mind coming in is Xavi Simons, who's been linked with Barcelona,
oh
last
yes,
summer.
I actually forgot to mention him because he can play out in the left as well.
The issue is when
So
you bring in Zubamendi because the way that the Flick plays his system, he wants a 1-6, he
mhm,
want a limited 8 and then a 10. If you
mhm.
bring in Zubamendi, Casado and Bernal will barely get any minutes because you can't play them both together. Because when you do play them both together, where's Pedri
Oh,
gonna play?
I
If you
hear you.
play Pedri there, where the hell is Dani Olmo gonna play? That's why I feel
Right,
like a pivot isn't really needed, especially if we still have Frankie de Jong as well, who can play in both areas. He can play in the 8 and he can play in the 6.
big up,
So
Mark.
that's why I feel like the company are looking at first the left winger, fullback,
Hmm.
then probably goalkeeper and striker. That's kind of like the luxury stuff that you mentioned about a Cam. I think the club is more thinking about a striker and the goalkeeper as well. So there's a few things before we really overhaul the midfield. Like I mentioned to you, I think the midfield is
And,
perfect. We
and
have
and
great depth,
I'm
great
very
starters.
quick. Hmm. And very
So
quickly, speaking of
mhm.
strikers, right? Because I do want to move fast because I know you got to go soon. But strikers, right? I'm glad you mentioned strikers, but because listen, Lewandowski this season
Don't
incredible.
I know what you're
In,
gonna say and don't say it. I know which
no,
player
hold
you're gonna
on.
bring up. Don't say it.
Hold
Don't say
on,
it.
hold on. No, okay, okay. Just hold on. Just hear me out before you go on. Let me just uh basically say my point, right? We know Lewandowski is not gonna be at the top forever. In fact, I feel like maybe this season will probably be his last big season. You understand what I'm saying, right?
I agree. I
He's at
agree.
that age, right? And we
Mhm.
are in a position now where we do need to start looking for options for other other options, right? Now, just hear my point on why I feel like maybe this guy could be the guy, right? As you know, as Barcelona, the best time Barcelona go out for players is that when we go sign players, we don't sign players based on names. We sign them based on what we feel like if they can work under our system. You understand what I'm saying, right? We will work under our system. I think, and this is why I think this guy is going to be good for us, is Victor Yokeres. You understand what I'm saying, right? Now,
Bro, man.
hold on,
Ah,
bro.
I
Please
thought
let
better of
me.
you. I thought better of you.
No, bro, please let me prove my point. But listen, you listen. At the end of the day, bro, you have the stage is yours. You can disagree, right? You can tell me why you
Mhm.
disagree. But let me explain for me why I want him, right? Don't get it twisted. I was not impressed with him for what he did last season. I was one of these people where I was like, listen, I've seen one season wonders. You understand what I'm saying? I've been watching football way too long to know what a one season wonder looks like. I want to see him do it more. I want to see this guy more. I want to see his gameplay. I want to see how he moves. You understand what I'm saying, right? I want to see his how he does things out when he doesn't have the ball or when his team is not in the front foot. What is he doing? You understand what I'm saying, right? How is he being a menace in the box, right? And the reason for me, I look at him as a good option, honestly, is because I feel like it's not just his goals that make him very, very good. That for me, why I like him, right? It's also his link up play. Because if you look at Barcelona strikers have to be good at link up playing. You understand what I'm saying, right? They need to know how to link up with the wingers. You understand what I'm saying, right? We saw with Suarez. The reason Suarez was such a gunman for us is not just because he scored goals, it's because of his link up play, especially when we had MSN. That's why that front three was a deadly trio. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because they had that chemistry. You understand what I'm saying, right? Everyone knew where everyone is gonna be. They knew where they had to be. They knew where they had to be to get the ball, where they had to make the runs, and all of these stuff. You understand what I'm saying, right? And also, even guys like before him, Eto, Villa. You understand what I'm saying, right? All of these players were very, very good at their link up playing. You understand what I'm saying, right? They were not just good goal scorers, they were good link up players. I feel like Gyökeres this season, I've been very impressed with his link-up play in certain games. You understand what I'm saying, right? Right? And I feel like maybe under a manager like Flick, you understand what I'm saying, right? I feel like a player like a manager like Flick, he might be able to bring the best out of him. Now, you disagree, but you tell me why you disagree, bro.
The one thing I hate in football is what you said at the beginning of your point: one season wonders. Look, there was a few big strikers that made big moves this past summer. You had Xerxes go to United for 40 million. Dovbyk went to Roma for 40 million. Solanke went from Bournemouth to Spurs for 70 million. All three of those strikers had a good breakout season the season before. They've all flopped. I hate how a team like Barcelona jumps on this hype. I don't think Barcelona will sign him. He looks good. Sure. Absolutely. Goals are fantastic. This man is playing in Ligue Noche. Bas Dost got 60 goals in that league. No.
I hear that. Go ahead.
If Gyökeres was available for 30, 40...
flop, man. Come on. He's not been doing well for 60 million.
For 70 million, he's got like 3 goals. If Gyökeres was like maybe like a good low-key deal. Like McAllister went to Liverpool for 30 million. That was a good low-key deal. Something like that. If he was available for 30, 40 million, I maybe be a bit more open to the risk.
Okay.
For 80 million, you can absolutely do one. At this point, what Barcelona need, I hate to say it, it's boring, but it's the answer. It's Erling Haaland. And you made a great point.
Oh, no.
Listen. Hear me out. You made a great point about hold-up play being very important for Barcelona striker. I completely agree. I think that's probably Erling Haaland's weakest point right now, but he can go into it. What Barcelona need mainly as a striker, especially when Lewandowski leaves, is someone to be the face of the club, to sell shirts, to marketize, to advertise, and that's going to be your man. On top of him being, of course, a brilliant striker. And like I mentioned, when we talked about Leao, our team now is, like you mentioned, a very young team, but in 2 years, that young team is all going to enter its prime. And we're going to need the best striker you can get out there. And for 130 million for what Haaland will be available for, he will be worth it. When he came on to warm up for the charity match in the 2022-2023 season, and the whole entire stadium chanted for an opposition player when he warmed up, that for me basically sealed the deal that he's going to come at some point. You have Mbappe at Madrid. The storyline is there as well. For me, it makes, I would much if Gyökeres was for 30 or 40 million.
Oh, so you're saying between Gyökeres and Haaland, you would take Haaland over Gyökeres, basically.
100%.
Okay, listen. All right, fine. Listen.
100%.
Here's the thing, right? I'm kind of more on what NJ Flip's point here is, which is that if we do sign Haaland, it's like signing Beckham over Dino. And this is why. It's because, I'm sorry.
Look at that time.
No.
This is different. At that time, we needed a Dino over a Beckham. But now we need a Beckham over a Dino.
I understand that, but let me. This is the point for me with the Haaland point that you just mentioned, right? I've seen Haaland under Pep. You understand what I'm saying, right? The problem with Haaland is a gunman striker. The guy will score goals for us. Absolutely. Score 20, 40, 50 goals. Absolutely, right? But here's the thing with Haaland, bro. That's all he has. If you nullify him out of games, he has shown that he can disappear from games completely, right? Ghost. You understand what I'm saying, right? Right? Now, the reason for me, I look at it this way. I'm like, listen, for me as a Barca fan, right? The strikers I've always seen, they don't always score goals in every game. You understand what I'm saying, right? But you know what they are? You will see them in the game. You will see them. You understand what I'm saying, right? You'll be like, okay, they're trying things. They're trying to do stuff, right? You can even play like Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic was an incredible, like, don't get it twisted. I know he was only there for a season, right? But Ibrahimovic had more to his game. You understand what I'm saying, right? And he had that terrorizing, menacing thing about him, right? The thing with Haaland is, I feel like with Haaland, he will score goals for us, but bro, we're gonna be carrying him a lot of the games. You understand what I'm saying, right?
My point for that is that I feel like every time a big striker comes to Barcelona, they always adapt their game. I feel like if Haaland were to join Barcelona, I think the team would work around him, and also on top of that, he would improve. And it's very different when you play in the Premier League compared to La Liga. When La Liga is a tactical, more open game, and the Premier League is more boring and more nullified. because every team knows Haaland is goated. They just park him up, they double triple man team him, and it makes it difficult for him. Whereas opposing to the other side, in La Liga, the game is much more open. So I feel like the only way he struggle is in a big European game if Barcelona are not performing. I think if the team perform, if we're on our powers, he will be fine. And that's my thing. Look at Jokic. Jokic for me is a very much a systematic player. Since Amorim left Sporting, he's gotten 2 goals in 5 games, and the 2 goals have both been penalties. He's so much of a risk for 80 million compared to getting Haaland for 120 million. And especially after one season. If I'm Deco, what I would do personally is from now. So I would give Lewandowski next season just because it's too early. We have other priorities for a striker.
Yeah.
I would give Pau Victor a chance this season and see how he does, because every time he's playing, he's doing well.
Exactly, bro. I've been saying this, bro. I want to see Pau Victor more than I see. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to cut you off, right?
No.
But you see the whole Pau Victor thing, bro. The biggest thing I've been stressed about, the thing that's been getting to me, is how we're now been playing, how he's been persistent with Ferran Torres when he's fit. Ferran Torres, bro, I know he scored against Mallorca, but dude, this brother, bro, this season has been the most frustrating. Bro, do you know how many times I've screamed about this guy, bro? Right? Even his press conferences, when he's talking about game, bro, did you see when we lost to Las Palmas, right? You saw Rafinha come out and say, yo, Whip, I'm pissed off. We lost this game. We were supposed to win this game. He scored the equalizer. And then you had Ferran Torres sitting there saying, oh, we shouldn't forget what we did so far this season. Bro, don't tell me about what we've done so far this season. Talk about today. Because we just messed up a great opportunity. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Ferran Torres is a player I'd give up for free. But
absolutely.
I just want to end off by saying this, that what I would do is that I'd give Pau Victor this season, see how he does, because the issue is next season, like you mentioned, Lewandowski will drop off. He's not going to perform like this. He'll probably have a season like he did last season, maybe get 20 goals. We need someone to rely upon off the bench is to start Gibbs as well. So I'd look at Pau Victor, give him the chance this season. If he doesn't perform, I'd go get Jonathan David on a free. Mainly because I want to see
another one that actually was
mainly because I want to see a Canadian player play for Barcelona just for vibes. But I didn't get hit. I want to see a Canadian player play for Barcelona once in my lifetime at least. So I'd get Jonathan David, have him and Lewandowski for the season, and then move on Lewandowski and bring in a big name striker and have him there with David. If David wants to move on by then, he can crack on. But at Barcelona, the striker, like someone here mentioned in the chat, Romario, R9, Kluivert, Eto'o, Henry, these are big name players that Barcelona use a lot for marketization, advertising, to put on the shirt, to sell shirts.
For me, Eto'o, I feel like Eto'o was not. Don't get it twisted. Eto'o was gunman from Mallorca when we signed them, right? Villa was also, he just came out from the World Cup, so his stock was high.
But they're all very good established names in La Liga that got bigger in Barcelona, and that's the point.
Right.
With Erling Haaland, he's going to come in and he's going to rectify absolutely everything. I think in a good system with a big team as well. And look at that first year at Man City. Fantastic goals galore. And his hold-up play that season was very good. The issue why his hold-up play last season was so poor is because teams nullified him and they learned how to work around him. But since La Liga is more open game, more tactical, he will have more space to work on it, which I think, by the way, will expose him whether or not he's really good or not on the ball, like you mentioned. So
that's my thought process. This is the last thing I'm going to say before I do let you go, because I know you got stuff you got to do, right?
Yeah.
How great has it been, bro, watching Mbappe this season, man, for Real Madrid?
You know what, man? I love it. You know why? Because someone put a tweet in July. It was like, how many goals do you think Mbappe will get in La Liga this season? And I quote tweeted it. I said, Mbappe will flop. He'll get 9 goals and 3 assists. And I am on track to be 100% correct. Every sensible football fan with knowledge knew this was not going to work out. There's even rumors now that Perez wants to actually sell Vinicius and keep Mbappe. I am loving it.
Please do. Oh, bro, send him to Saudi, man. Listen.
I love it. When you're a big team, you don't sign big players. You sign players that are hungry, that they want to improve the team. They have too many good players. We've seen it so many times. They've had Galacticos 2 times before now, and they both
look at the team that won the Champions League last season. They had Joselu as their striker. Bro, I've said this about Madrid. You see, Madrid,
I think Joselu's all right. I would love to have a player like Joselu.
No.
Look young.
That's what I'm saying, right? Joselu was great for them. That was a smart signing. You understand what I'm saying? He was a player that was happy to just do whatever the club wanted him to do. That's what you want. You understand what I'm saying, right? You see me, I've already said it before. I said, you see Madrid. You see when Madrid go out and they actually buy players that actually improve them. That's when I'm worried. You know what I'm saying? That's when I'm like, oh, man. I remember when they signed Cruz, I was like, oh, bro, this Cruz guy is good. Yeah, he's going to improve them in the future. You understand what I'm saying, right? When they signed Benzema, right? He was a Leon. I was like, all right, I like Benzema. I think Benzema will be a good player, right? But you see, when they do the Galactico thing, especially like they did in the early 2000s, I said it before, I'll say it again. You see, Madrid, when Madrid go and buy players that they want and players that they don't, there's a difference between buying a player you want and a player you need. You see, under Bartomeu, right? The biggest thing that used to piss me off about Bartomeu is we used to buy players that the people wanted, but the players that we didn't need, i.e. Griezmann, i.e. Coutinho. These were players I didn't want at the club because I was like, yo, these guys are gonna flop because Coutinho does only plays in positions that Messi plays, and Griezmann is a right winger. That's where Messi plays. You understand what I'm saying, right? So these are gonna be players who are not going to adapt to the team. And you saw quickly, man. Coutinho was one of our worst signings for the amount we bought him for, right? All of that because why? Because he's a name. Oh, just sign Barca, just sign Coutinho. Oh, Griezmann, Suarez, and Messi. Oh, what a front line, bro. That's not what I want. I want players that work in a system. You understand what I'm saying? The work that I know are going to work in what we're building. You understand what I'm saying, right? Right? And the thing with Barca, Real Madrid is Real Madrid fell for the same thing that we always did. The whole Mbappe thing has been thing that's been going on for years with this club. Talking about, oh, Mbappe one day. You know Mbappe is going to go to Madrid one day. He's going to be there. He's going to be there. I'm like, bro, let me tell you something. Do you know how many world-class players I've seen go to Madrid? But I've seen the early Galacticos before. I've seen the Galacticos of the early 2010s. You think I'm stressed out because Mbappe going to Madrid? You understand what I'm saying, right? And I told people, bro, you know what I told people, bro? I said, listen, man, if you've been watching Mbappe at League 1, big up to Mohammed, right? I had him on the channel before, PSG INT. Make sure you guys go subscribe to him. I was like, bro, you know this because you watch PSG. Mbappe last season was poor, right? He was poor during the Euros. I was like, yo, this guy is going to come this season and he's not going to perform. In fact, look at the positions he plays. He plays as a striker, and his best position is left wing, which is Vinicius' position. You think Vinicius is going to leave that position? People are talking about him potentially moving as a striker. I'm like, bro, go ahead. Put Vinicius as a striker. I dare you to put him as a striker. You understand what I'm saying, right? But this is what they did, right? They went and bought a player that they wanted that they didn't need. What they needed this summer is a Cruz replacement. You understand what I'm saying, right? But they didn't do that. They went and got Mbappe, and then they were just sitting there talking about Vinicius and Mbappe. Bro, A9 skills, sitting there saying, oh, it's not just Barcelona that needs to be worried about. Oh, it's the whole world that needs the whole world that needs to be. Bro, love to see it. Listen, at the end of the day, man, nothing pleases me more than watching Real Madrid self-destruct on their own, man. Because this is you guys are the reasons why you guys fell. You understand what I'm saying, right? And look at Mbappe, bro, missing a pen. Bro, he's not now. You know what it is with Mbappe, right? It's not that he's even flopping, bro. He is such a big flop, bro. He's actually costing these guys points. That's what's even worse. It's not that he's not just going missing, bro. He's constantly costing these guys points. The Champions League, right? He completely stunk out the place, got a penalty and missed it. Against Bilbao, literally, man, a week later, man, does the same thing. Absolutely ridiculous. But listen, man, we love to see it. Long may it continue. Long may Mbappe continue to flop. Long may Real Madrid tears continue to fall. Because you know what? These Madridistas, when we went on a 3-game losing streak, you know what they were telling us? They were telling us to be humble, right? Well, hold that. You guys be humble. Okay, man? We are humble. We know where we are. We know our frailties. You understand what I'm saying, right? But listen, it is what it is. But listen, guys. Unfortunately, yes, we are going to have to wrap up because my guy has to go, guys. But listen, man, we will be doing this again very, very soon. We'll be doing this again because I like doing this show with you, the BLAUGRANA talk, fellow Barcelona fans, and we can be just talking about these stuff, right? But listen, make sure you guys go and subscribe to Barcelona Boy, right? If you guys are not subscribed, man, what are you guys doing, okay? This guy has been on YouTube for a long time. He's actually someone I've been watching for a long time. You understand what I'm saying, right? Doing a lot of content. If you listen, I'm not going to be able to do the watch along tomorrow, Betis, but I'm sure he will. So make sure you guys go subscribe to him. Go and send some support. I will be watching the watch along on his channel tomorrow. Make sure you guys send some love. Subscribe to his channel. Turn on notifications on this channel as well if you're not subscribed or any of that stuff. But this has been Blaugrana talk, guys. We are gonna be redirecting to TJ Warren TV, man. My guy TJ, Arsenal fan, man. They won this past week, man. Congratulations to them. Make sure you guys go and send them some love, guys. But big up to everybody who's been here. Big up to all the people in the chat. Sorry I could not read all of your chats, guys. But big up to you guys, man. Every single time. Big up for all the love. And make sure you guys like before we go and subscribe, like I said, to Omar BYT and to Barcelona Boy. His thoughts on the new offside rule. I don't really know about this. What is this about?
It's when now instead of it being offside before the defender, the whole entire attacker has the body advantage. It's really not much of a difference.
All right,
It's
cool.
whatever.
Anyway, yeah, we will. All right, guys. But appreciate you guys for being here. And just like Mark says, Visca Barça, Visca Catalunya, and peace, you guys. Take care and go send some love to TJ, guys.